Welcome back to another episode of No Shame with Shane. I'm your host, Shane Fordham, with all the shameless sports takes. Commanders beat the Lions. Divisional round of the playoffs, Commanders beat the Lions. And, I mean, a lot of people have been saying that this is the most surprising win of the weekend, most surprising win of this round in the playoffs. But if you've been watching No Shame with Shane, we've been talking about this for a while. We've been talking about this for a few weeks. I mean, exactly what I said would happen happened. The Commanders offense was able to eliminate this Lions front seven, was able to basically eliminate them as a factor in this game, you know, diminishing their ability to be able to rush the passer, to be able to stop the run. I mean, no sacks given up in this game at all for Jayden Daniels and this offensive line. I mean, 182 rushing yards total, 3 total rushing touchdowns. I mean, they really made this Lions front seven a non-factor, one of the best front sevens in the NFL, even while injured, made this unit a non-factor in the divisional round of the playoffs. And in doing so, they isolated the Lions secondary. Honestly, the Lions front seven has really bailed out this Lions secondary for a majority of the season. The Lions are one of the worst teams against the pass, and that's because of the secondary. Secondary is banged up, you know, especially with Carlton Davis being out for a majority of the season. But, I mean, there's nothing the secondary could do because of how ineffective the front seven was. The Lions secondary hasn't been used to the front seven being this ineffective in a game. You know, they're used to the front seven either getting pressure on the quarterback, you know, getting the quarterback down 5 to 6 times, you know, racking up TFLs, you know, behind the line of scrimmage, you know, being able to shut down the run, rushing the quarterback to get the ball out, making their jobs easier. Like, It made it honestly, the style of the scheme that the Commanders had, that they used and implemented in this game against the Lions, it made it a harder day for this Lions secondary. I mean, Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch, they could only do so much. There wasn't much that they could do against this Commanders passing attack. I mean, the Commanders exposed the Lions secondary. They exposed the Lions secondary, especially Terrion Arnold. Exactly what I said happened. Terry McLaurin and Dyami Brown cooked Terrion Arnold. Terrion Arnold got cooked. He got exposed. I mean, 187 total receiving yards. It was a long night for Terrion Arnold. I mean, and with that being said, even though the final result of this game was a 2-score game, you know, the Commanders offense smacked the Lions defense. The Lions defense got smacked. I mean, there was nothing they could do to stop Jayden Daniels and company from putting numbers up on the board. I mean, the way they got smacked, it honestly reminded me of the movie Friday. I mean, the Commanders were the Craig to the Lions Debo. Rest in peace, Tommy Lister. The Commanders were the Craig to the Lions Debo. I mean, being the number 1 seed in the NFL, you know, you're seen as the big bad bullies of the neighborhood. You know, the Lions are seen as unstoppable throughout this whole season. You know, couldn't find any weaknesses within this unit, even while injured. You know, I mean, I get injuries hurt them, you know, but at the same time, even the injuries didn't stop them from being a Super Bowl favorite. The injuries didn't stop them from continuing to be one of the best defenses in the NFL. I mean, they continued to be the Super Bowl favorites throughout this season, regardless of the injuries. And they even got a couple guys back, you know, including Alex Anzalone. You know, they got back David Montgomery, just looking at it from an overall team's perspective, like they did get some pieces back, and they had more than enough pieces to be able to beat the Commanders. More than enough pieces. But, the Commanders had their number. No one was able to find a weakness in this Lions team, but the Commanders did. The Commanders did. Just like I said, and that weakness was coaching. The Lions simply got outcoached on Sunday against the Commanders. I mean, the coaching scheme, if you watch the game, I mean, the Lions got cocky. The Lions got too comfortable. They got cocky. Seemed like they felt entitled that this was their year. This was their year to win, that the Super Bowl was theirs to lose. Like, they got cocky. I mean, it honestly, Ben Johnson and the offense, they tried to be too fancy against the Commanders. Like, they tried to be a little too, they got a little too cute. They got a little too fancy, a little too cute. I mean, if you watch that game, they made calls that just weren't necessary. I mean, if you look at the Lions throughout the regular season, we've seen them be able to score in a plethora of different ways. Whether it's a trick play with, the Penei Sewell or an offensive lineman for a touchdown, or some variation of the Philly special, pulling one of their receivers around, having Jameson Williams or Amon-Ra St. Brown throw a touchdown pass to Jared Goff. It's just we've seen them score in a variety of different ways, dropping 50, 40, 50 points on defenses, averaging over 30 points a game. Like, we've seen them score in a variety of different ways, and you could tell that the way they came out, they thought they were going to be able to do whatever they wanted against this Commanders defense. They thought they were going to have a field day against this Commanders defense, and it was honestly disrespectful. Like the scheme, their coaching approach, their style that they had in this Commanders game, it was honestly disrespect. Like, this was probably the most disrespectful play calling that I had ever witnessed. You could tell they thought they were going to be able to do whatever they wanted against the Commanders. And honestly, the Commanders defense deserved more respect from the Lions than that. They deserved more respect. Like, they thought they were going to come in. They thought they were going to come into this game, put up 50 points on a Commanders defense that is statistically bad. On paper, the Commanders are not a formidable playoff defense on paper. But if you watch the games, you know that this Commanders defense is better than what they show on paper. They are, truthfully. Like, Connor Real, my boy, my guy, my co-anchor, my coworker at Channel 13, he gave a perfect description for this Commanders defense during one of our last shows. He described this Commanders defense as timely. And I think that's the perfect word to use when describing this defense, because they make the right plays at the right time. Like, this isn't a like a all four quarters lockdown type of defense. But this defense will make those gotta have it plays in those gotta have it moments. They will make a play in some of the most critical points of a game, whether it's a interception from Mike Sanderstill or Quan Martin, whether it's a sack or TFL from Fowler or Frankie Louvu, or if it's a forced fumble from Bobby Wagner. Like, this team will make a play when the team needs them to make a play. They will make plays in those gotta have it moments. And clearly that's not what the Lions thought. It's not what the Lions thought. The Lions thought that they were going to be able to come in and do whatever they wanted to this Commanders defense, which is exactly why the Commanders had 5 turnovers, 4 interceptions, and 1 lost fumble. Coaching is honestly what lost the Lions this game. There's no reason why you should be having Jameson Williams as a receiver taking a shot to the end zone when your running back in Jahmyr Gibbs has over 100 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. On the day, Jahmyr Gibbs finished the game with 105 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, averaging almost 8 yards a carry. The Lions' total rushing numbers, they racked up 201 rushing yards and averaged almost 9 yards a carry. There's no reason with those type of numbers on the ground why you should be having your receiver having him throw a bomb when clearly the Commanders can't do anything to stop the run. Like, Jahmyr Gibbs was just walking up and down the field against the Commanders several times, just being untouched. Like, with his speed and with the blocking ability of the Lions O-line, with that O-line that they have, the run game was their bread and butter. The run game is what would have won the Commanders that game. Like, Ben Johnson was too complex and too fancy for his own good. If they just continue to run the ball, I mean, we'd have a totally different outcome right now. Ben Johnson coached himself into a box, which is something rare that we didn't really see a lot from him this season, which is why he's the biggest head coaching prospect this offseason. You know, the hottest coaching aspect this offseason. We never really saw Ben Johnson coach himself into a corner like what we saw against the Commanders. Something something we probably won't see again. I think this will be a lesson for him. But coaching definitely played a role in this loss versus the Lions. You got to run the ball. You got to keep feeding Jahmyr Gibbs. The Eagles made the same mistake, almost made the same mistake against the Rams in their game. Almost made the same mistake. You got to keep feeding Jahmyr Gibbs in that situation. You don't, like, at some points, there's no reason to be overly fancy. You know, there's no reason to do too much. The impact that the Lions thought that they would have in general offensively is what they had in the run game. Over 200 rushing yards, 9 yards per carry. You got to run the ball. Like, the Commanders couldn't do anything to stop the run. That's what would have won the Lions the game. Like, whether you want to blame Ben Johnson or Dan Campbell, you know, because Dan Campbell is known to be a gambler, whoever you want to blame, the coaching was at fault for this game, was a big reason why the Lions lost. And the Commanders exploited that. The Commanders made them pay. You got to respect it. The Commanders knew what their weakness was going in, which was cockiness. They knew the Lions underestimated them as a team, and the Commanders made them pay for it. They knew they were able to exploit the tiniest of weakness that the Lions showed, just as they've been able to do all season. The Commanders have proven to be a team that can exploit a team's weakness no matter how small it is. The Lions showed a weakness. The Commanders kept punching at that weak spot until it paid off. So the Lions got outcoached. And like I said before, literally like I said before, if you're asking me who the better gambler is, if I have to put my money on who the better gambler is between Dan Campbell and Dan Quinn, I'm putting my money on Dan Quinn every single time. All cards on the table. I'm putting my money on Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn is obviously the better game. You can see that in the numbers. There's a reason why the Commanders are the best fourth down offense in the NFL. A big part of that is because of Dan Quinn's ability as a coach. Dan Quinn is a better gambler than Dan Campbell. And that showed in this game. Coaching matters. One of the reasons why I said the Commanders would win this game is because I thought the Lions could be outcoached. I thought that Dan Campbell could be outcoached by Dan Quinn. No, not could be. I thought that Dan Quinn would outcoach Dan Campbell, which is what happened. I went with the better gambler, which showed to be Dan Quinn. And, you know, so this game not only proved Dan Quinn's ability as a coach, you know, really showing in the playoffs what a theme for the Commanders have been during the regular season. It showed his ability as a coach and as a gambler, a successful gambler, in situational moments, in situational football. But something else that this game proved to me is something else that I've been saying for a few weeks, in that Jayden Daniels is the best rookie quarterback of all time. He's the best rookie quarterback of all time. With this win against the Lions, Jayden Daniels becomes one of now 6 rookie QBs to make it to the conference championship. He joins Sean King with the Bucs, Ben Roethlisberger with the Steelers, Joe Flacco with the Ravens, Mark Sanchez with the Jets, and of course, Brock Purdy with the 49ers. But the difference between Jayden Daniels as a rookie and those other 5 QBs as a rookie is that those other 5 QBs had either elite or top 7 to 5 defenses that were on the field when they weren't. Jayden Daniels doesn't have that. Those guys had premier defenses that were on the field when they weren't. So you could say in their case, you can't say that those guys at the quarterback position were the main reasons why their teams were in the position that they were in. You can't say that they're the main reason. There's definitely a more of a equal credit distribution that needs to be in place when looking at those cases. Like their defenses were a big reason as to why the team as a whole found the success in their respective years that they were able to find. You can't say that with Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels is the main reason why the Commanders are where they are. Jayden Daniels is the main reason why the Commanders are where they are. Jayden Daniels does not have a Jayden Daniels doesn't have a top 10 defense, let alone a top 7 to 5 or an elite defense. Jayden Daniels is the only rookie quarterback in the NFL to have made it to a conference championship game without having an elite or top 7 to 5 defense. Let me say that again. Let me say that again. Jayden Daniels is the only rookie quarterback in the NFL to make it to a conference championship game without an elite defense or a top 7 to 5 defense. Now, I think that this Commanders defense, like I said before, is a better unit than what they show on paper. They got the playmakers. They got a talented secondary that has only gotten better as this season has progressed. Mike Sanderstill has improved. Quan Martin, Jeremy Chin, big time playmakers that have shown to be able to make plays in those gotta have it moments, especially with the signing of Marshawn Lattimore, an experienced playoff seasons DB corner. Their front 5 has gotten a lot better. Frankie Louvu, Bobby Wagner, guys who were all pro and second team all pro this year, Pro Bowl teams, two of the best linebackers in the season, Dante Fowler up front, Daron Payne up front, getting Jonathan Allen back. Like, this is a defense that is better than what they show on paper, but this defense is by no means elite. This defense is not elite. They're not even top 10. So Jayden Daniels does not have an elite defense that is on the field when he is not. Unlike the other 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, in the history of the NFL, that have made it to a conference championship in their rookie year. Jayden Daniels is the main reason why the Commanders are where they are. He's the spark plug. He's the fire starter. He is the catalyst for why the Commanders are in the position that they have and have been able to find the success that they have. And it makes me 100% confident in what I'm about to say. I am 100% confident that Jayden Daniels will win his first Super Bowl before Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen attend their first. 100%. I am fully confident with what Jayden Daniels has been able to show in his rookie year, getting to this point, having this level of success this early in his career, being within arm's length of a Super Bowl, being able to having it within his grasp. I am fully confident that Jayden Daniels will win his first Super Bowl before Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen get to their first. Now, if Patrick Mahomes were to retire next season or, within the next 2 to 3 years, I could see Josh Allen getting there. He would still have to go through Joe Burrow, who, the Bengals as a team couldn't get worse than what they were this season. But, clearly Joe Burrow still looks like an elite quarterback with elite talent in his receiver room in Jamar Chase. So, still has to get through Joe Burrow, but I could see Josh Allen getting there. So in that regard, as of now, I definitely feel like Jayden Daniels will win his first Super Bowl before Lamar Jackson gets to his first. Because as of now, I don't believe Lamar Jackson will be able to beat Josh Allen in a playoff game. I definitely don't think he'll be able to beat Joe Burrow in a playoff game. So even with Patrick Mahomes being out of the picture, Lamar Jackson would still need to get through Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. I definitely think that Jayden Daniels will win his first Super Bowl before Lamar Jackson gets to his first. Now, with Patrick Mahomes being in the league, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson aren't getting past Patrick Mahomes while he is still in the Chiefs uniform. So I definitely feel like as of right now, Jayden Daniels will win his first Super Bowl before Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson attend their first. Before they even see their first one, Jayden Daniels will already have a ring. So this is going to be a fun game to watch on Sunday. Do I think that the Commanders will have the same level of success against the Eagles as they did the Lions? No. No. But it's going to be fun to watch. The Eagles are going to have a tough case. The Eagles defense is going to have a tough test for them just being able to contain Jayden Daniels and this run game, being able to stay balanced, the secondary being able to stay on their toes. But I do not think they'll be able to have the same success against the Eagles like they did the Lions. But as an Eagles fan and just as an overall sports and football fan, it's going to be a fun game to watch. And I think regardless of how Jayden Daniels does in this game, whether he wins or loses, no matter how he plays, Jayden Daniels, in my mind, still has to go down as the greatest rookie quarterback of all time, just with what we've already seen and what he has already been able to accomplish. So that's all for this edition of No Shame with Shane. If you haven't already, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to all of our social media platforms, and I will be back later on with more Shameless Takes.